I'm curious how the cannabis regulatory environment of a particular state dictates your ability to place insurance coverage for a given risk. It's literally a moving landscape. I don't know how you all keep up, either on the carrier side or the broker side, but talk about the regulatory environment a little bit and its impact on your ability to cover these risks.
I'd love to start with that one because that is the tenet of our underwriting approach. As we look at any one state, that's exactly the first thing we look at is the regulatory environment. So if I look at the state of Massachusetts and then compare that with the state of Oklahoma, I would see two very completely different regulatory environments. And I'd want to put more insurance offering or therefore insurance risk at risk in a Massachusetts because of the tight regulatory environment versus in Oklahoma, where we believe it's that old Wild West conversation and therefore not as tightly regulated. So it's a lot easier for any one operator to earn a license and start to operate a business. Our concerns are when you look at any one industry or and therefore state as a brand new venture, how do you underwrite a brand new venture? Because you don't know the management, you don't know, you could see projected sales, you could see projected limits of property coverages and things, but you don't know why that risk would be better. And we rely upon the regulatory environment to get us there. So we almost ignore the fact that they're a new venture and we go straight to the regulatory environment that they're going to launch that business. And if we believe that regulatory environment is strong and therefore potentially protective of us as a risk bearer, we're almost betting the farm on the fact that it took that operator a lot of energy and financial support and business planning and proper hiring procedures and all those underwriting things that you dig into. That regulatory environment could actually be your underwriting box. And if you believe that box is tight, you're going to want to run as many new businesses in that state as you can. And when that underwriting box is deemed loose or isn't as firm, if you will, then you're going to be concerned about that next risk that you underwrite. And you might not choose to write that account in a certain state.
What about you, Lee? I know a huge reason why retailers leverage a wholesale broker like GenCap is because they're counting on your expertise to know all of the various different nuances state by state. And they are so nuanced that you truly need someone who does this all day, every day. But how do you navigate it?
Yeah, so at GenCap, our cannabis division, like all we work on is cannabis risks. We are not generalists in any sense of the word. All I work on all day is cannabis risks, throughout the country. We have a few people spread out throughout the country that kind of have a better sense of the regulatory environment in those particular areas. I'm actually sitting in Michigan. Michigan has some pretty unique, requirements from an insurance standpoint and financial responsibility coverages for license compliance. And with that, like we understand, and we've actually helped some of our carriers, develop products that will meet the guidelines set by the CRA. So as a broker that specializes in cannabis, we know exactly what carriers to go to meet those requirements and which ones won't meet requirements. So that's really, I mean, kind of our advantage is that, that's all we work on. So I don't really have, I don't have to worry about a construction account. I'm just looking at, cannabis risks all day and know exactly where we need to go depending on the requirement of the state.
I work very closely with Lee on a national basis, and I'll give you a great example of something that tags right along to that is we're having new conversations together in the state of Minnesota. So that's a brand new state. It's launching its adult use laws, regulatory environment as we speak, and issuing the first set of licenses as we speak. And so when I look at that state, I look to GenCap and specifically Lee and say, I believe this is a good state from what we see, but what retailers do we want to work with and why? And so we get a chance to dovetail on those conversations. So we get the strength and the experience of GenCap from a distribution standpoint, while we both work together in understanding that Minnesota regulatory environment. So for us, we look at that next new state as a really cool partnership between CanAssure and GenCap. And we've had very much the same success already in the states of New Jersey and New York as we speak with both Lee and Justin Sheeran, who have really helped us in the environmental landscape and the distribution landscape in those two states.